Why would they ban it?
Yeah.
They banned sign language in a lot of places. They actually had a whole conference that decided that they would not allow signing in schools anymore. And
What?
they closed the door to all of the deaf people, and they had this conference and decided that there would be no signing allowed in schools, that everything would be oralism.
Was that 1890?
I think it was in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So, because they decided that signing would,
Distracting
hold them
to the
back
kids,
from learning.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah.
yeah, they just thought that by them learning sign language, then it would hold back their progress in learning English and learning other things. But now what they've actually found out is that if you give a child a strong base in a language, so if a child grows up and until the age of 4 is able to become, or 5, is able to become fluent in a language, then once they have the language down and they're able to completely express themselves and function in that language, then by having that, then they're able to build on that and learn all the other skills. They can learn writing and reading and all these other
Because they got a way to
things.
communicate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they have a way to communicate and they're able to teach it through sign language. And so now what they're saying is that you can teach through the sign language all of the skills for English, rather than saying you must sign English where the child doesn't know what's going on. They went through and did a study and said that, like they asked one of the children, they went to the classroom and they observed where the children didn't know ASL, where they just taught them signs for the English, and they're like not conceptually accurate at all. It was like the restroom, so they used the sign like rest, and then room, not like bathroom, but just like this made up like for parts of each word, you know? And so the child raised his hand and did, you know, restroom or something, and the teacher was like, that's fine. So the child went to the bathroom and then came back, and then the observer was in the hallway and they said, where did you go? And the child was like, they completely didn't understand any of the words, and he was just like, whatever the prescribed way of asking, can I go to the bathroom? He repeated that back and didn't know like what to answer, because all he knew was just what you do to get to go to the bathroom. It wasn't like he actually was communicating. And so they went to a school where they were using ASL, and so the kid was like, hey, can I go to the bathroom? And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine. So the kid went to the bathroom, and then the guy went to the hallway, and he's like, well, where were you? Like, what were you doing? And he's like, that's a rude question. Like, you don't ask that. Like, but he understood what was being asked. He had a full language where he could communicate, whereas the other child didn't. So that was a big thing, but they used to think that, you know, like using sign language wouldn't work. They had the Rochester method, which they finger spelled everything in the entire language, everything they wanted to say. So, but they did get to the point where they did see that there was value in having signing, and especially having deaf teachers at an early age, where they could really model themselves after the people that were teaching them. So because a lot of kids, 90% of deaf children have hearing parents, and so most of the time they wouldn't have someone at home who can teach them the language and be like a good model for them. It would just be someone maybe trying to communicate and themselves learning to sign, or someone who doesn't sign at all. So they would really get it at school.